What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of That Hobby Show. Thank you for joining us on a Thursday afternoon. A little different from our usual Sunday time slot, I should say. But we're going to have a special guest later on, Jeff Lyman, former Atlanta Braves prospect, also spent some time with the A's and St. Louis Cardinals organizations, and he'll be joining us in about 20 minutes or so. But yeah, thank you all for joining. And as you can see, as always, Houston from Chasing the Graph is joining me. How's it going, Houston?
Good, man. How about yourself?
I'm well. I've been looking forward to this all week, so hopefully everybody else enjoys it. I have a ton of questions. I did some homework to get ready for Jeff to ask him some questions that I'm interested in about life of a minor league baseball player, and I don't think people understand how hard of a grind it is for minor leaguers. But in the meantime, I did have some stuff I thought was pretty interesting to talk about. A couple autograph signings coming up. I'd already talked to you about one earlier, but yesterday it was posted that Tom Brady is doing his annual private signing. He usually does one a year. I don't know if he's done any type of public autograph signing recently. Maybe, I don't know, maybe when he retires, if he ever retires, he'll do a public autograph signing. But they released the prices, and yeah, let's just put it this way. If even with your stimulus check, you cannot afford a Tom Brady autograph. And I mean, I understand that people say he's the GOAT. Me personally, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not a Brady fan or a Joe Montana fan or anything like that. If you ask me, Joe Flacco's the GOAT. So, yeah. So yeah, I really don't have a dog in the fight. But I just wanted to go over the prices. So a flat item up to a 16 by 20 photo. So a flat item would be something like trading cards or an 8x10 photo or a 4x6 photo, something like that. He is charging $1,750 just for a photograph, just for a signed photograph. So if you're paying that price, you might as well get the 16 by 20 photograph signed and skip the 8x10. And I was actually reading the bottom of the advertisement, and I didn't even pay attention to this. So it specifically says no trading cards. So if you're one of those guys, it's like a set collector trying to get your trading cards done, you cannot send your item in to get, you can't send your trading card in to get signed. So you're going to have to try and get him, after he wins another Super Bowl at one of the parades, and he's had a couple avocado margaritas, and maybe you can get his autograph. So that's just the base price for an autograph. So a flat larger than 16 by 20 or a mini helmet, which I do collect a lot of NFL autographs, and mini helmets is definitely what I prefer. I love to get the throwback mini helmet signed. So that will cost you $1,850. If you want to get a football signed, $2,250 for a football. A helmet or jersey, that is $2,500. Now, you might be one of those guys that were lucky enough to have a game-used jersey by Tom Brady. Well, you can't send that in because he's also not accepting game-used items, artwork, or tickets. So if you have, some Super Bowl tickets that you want signed, you're out of luck. And then inscriptions. There's only a handful of inscriptions that he will do. So those, just for an inscription, not an autograph, that is $1,200. And then, like we were talking about earlier today, if you want to get your football personalized and have it say, to Houston, $2,400. So you're like, hey, I got a football. I want to get it personalized by Tom Brady. If you add all that up, that's going to cost you around $5,000, and it just blows my mind. And the crazy thing is, he does this yearly, and looking back at last year's prices, you're almost like, well, damn, last year was a bargain, and it was around $1,000 for,
Yeah.
photograph. And I don't know, man. What are your thoughts about that?
Kind of. I was thinking that it was gonna, and when you had told me about it, and I was like, oh, probably somewhere around the 2K range. And so a football being 23, 24, 2,500, I'm not surprised by that. But I didn't think it just initially, I didn't think there would be any inscriptions or anything like that allowed. And if it was personalized, I didn't really think that that would add another, 24, 2,500 to it. So it was where I was expecting it to be, but it was far more outrageous than I expected it to be, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. Because I mean, you just throw out a number. It'll probably be like this, and then you see it, and you're like, holy shit, I was just joking. I didn't know it was going to be that much. But I mean, if you've seen Tom Brady's autograph, he doesn't have a really good autograph at all. So I mean, it kind of makes sense that for him to write out your name, that it would be over $2,000. And the crazy thing is it's probably going to sell out. Because Mike Trout, he does his private signing every year through the MLB alumni. I forget what the whole thing is. Major League Alumni Marketing or something like that. And his prices are pretty crazy, but I don't know. I can kind of see it for him, but he's getting close to the $1,000 range as well. So one of the other autograph signings I just seen today on Twitter through Onyx Authenticated. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they make the minor league baseball cards, and they kind of like have the throwback design, but everything's airbrushed off. But one of the reasons I like Onyx is because a lot of times you can get those guys that aren't in Bowman, that don't have the first Bowman release yet. And also, since they don't have the logos, a lot of times people don't like them. I know for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of Panini or Don Russ because they don't have the logos. But for a minor league guy, then I don't mind, because it's probably 3, 4, 5 years before they may actually get a card. And then you know how everybody goes crazy for that first Bowman, just for first Bowman base or paper, some people call it, Yeah. But so they have a signing, and it already sold out, of Jason Dominguez, the Yankees prospect. Has not played in any professional games. So the games that he has played in spring training, those stats don't count. So it's not like he's even been in the Gulf Coast League or anything like that. So his Bowman, 2020 Bowman card and 2020 Bowman Heritage, they were selling for $250 each. And I want to say he's like 17, maybe 18. And his nickname is the Martian. So you could get the cards with the Martian inscription, and that was $325 each. And it sold out within 2 hours. And that blows my mind too. I can't believe it. Because I mean, me lately, I've been buying vintage like crazy. I've talked about it a few episodes before, and you can buy so a $350 Jason Dominguez autograph. You can get a Bob Gibson rookie card for that price. A 1959 Topps Bob Gibson graded. I mean, it's not going to be a 10, but I mean, you could get a nice looking 4 or 5 probably for $300. it blows my mind that the prices that everything's going for. I can't believe it.
That's kind of been my whole thing is during with the like during the pandemic and with cards taking off and just I mean I didn't collect in the 90s, but it almost seems to be taking off more than it did during the junk wax era back in the 90s. But it's hard for me to get behind these players who have played one season, maybe two seasons, as far as like just dumping money into piecing them or investing in them. I think that's where the majority of it's coming from is people are investing in these players thinking that 12, 14 years from now they're going to be, in the Hall of Fame and everything. And a Hall of Famer, you don't have to wonder if their career is going to pan out. You don't have to wonder if
Yeah,
they're going to get hurt and never play a game again. Their career is set in stone. It is what it is. It's not going anywhere unless they like get some charges against them or some like sexual assault allegations. But other than something like that, their career is set in stone as to where Jason Dominguez may get signed to a double A team out of the gate or assigned to a double A team out of the gate, swing and miss at the first pitch and rip his shoulder off or something. And then
yeah,
that's it. And I see the reason why people get in, on the prospects, but I just don't understand it, if that makes
yeah.
any sense at all.
Yeah, no, I used to be huge into it, but yeah, you just have to make sure that the Hall of Famer doesn't, kill his ex-wife and her boyfriend and then lead the cops on a chase through downtown Los Angeles, because that'll hurt the value of your cards
A,
and memorabilia.
a
Yeah,
little.
yeah, a little bit. But yeah, no, I used to be huge into prospects. So what I would do, I had a subscription to Baseball America, and then I don't know if they still make it anymore. I think they might, but it's called it was USA Today used to put out a little newspaper type thing. I think it was like Baseball Today or something, and they would always have each team's top 10, top 20 prospects. So when I was younger and had less, I guess, shame, I would run around chasing baseballs and everything, and then I would get all these dudes on the prospects on the baseballs, and then looking back, well, one, I didn't label the baseballs good enough, but I mean, there is so many of them that haven't panned out, so. And a lot of the baseballs I still have, so I just use them for batting practice for my kids or throwing them around the backyard. I mean,
Let the
because
dog play with them a little bit.
yeah, he doesn't really get into baseballs, which is good because I have baseballs all around the house. So that one day he wants a baseball, it could be a really expensive one. That one of the prospect that made it. But yeah, it just blows my mind with like you were saying with the junk wax. So I don't know if anybody, let me get this, if anybody seen my post earlier, sorry for the close up. But I bought a box of 1993 Upper Deck Fun Pack. I loved these cards when I was a kid. And I think even then, they were like low end because they were for kids. They were like $1 a pack. But I found these on, eBay, and even this cost me $40 for these. This is the 93 version. The 1994 version has Michael Jordan's rookie card. They want it like $100 a box. That was the cheapest I could find, and that's even without shipping. And so the cool thing with these, I just like the design. They're fun. I think they have like
they have like the little bodies with the big heads.
No, these are they had the glow in the dark cards.
Oh,
so, yeah. But I think there are some where it's like caricatures of the players and stuff. So I'll be opening that, throw it on the internet, and then those will make for some TTM. So I'll be sending them out because a lot of the older dudes they seem to sign more than some of the recently retired guys because I've been I don't know if you've been doing TTM lately, but I've been sending out like crazy, and I've been striking out. I haven't been getting anything back, so I don't know if I have bad addresses or what. But usually it's the older guys that like to sign, but it's just sometimes harder finding some of the more obscure uh, minor leaguers addresses. You know.
Yeah, the ones that haven't played and don't really have a notable like business or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, because you have guys like I'll have their card and then I'll throw in a search on Facebook or something, and then a bunch of lists come up, and so I'm looking at a picture from 20 years ago, and I'm like, I think that's maybe him. You have to do like CSI and age the baseball card. Yeah, that kind of matches him, but it's actually funny though. Some of the guys that I've looked for, they're doing way better than if they had stayed like trying to grind it out in the minors. Like there's this one guy I found, Shea Morins, and this dude is like I wouldn't say he's a billionaire. He's a multimillionaire now in Texas, like owns some companies and everything. And yeah, it's pretty insane. But so still got a little bit of time before Jeff comes on. So collecting wise lately, what have you been up to?
Oh, just the last few days for me have been kind of a me and the hobby haven't been getting along, if you will. I'm just really like deciding trying to decide how I want to handle things during, the boom and not really being able to get anything. And even some of the, I got an Amber Alert. Sorry. I don't know if you heard it or not.
Oh no, I didn't hear anything. I just seen you go sideways, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we got an Amber Alert, but,
Oh,
but yeah, even like some of the singles that like I've seen that I've wanted, I feel like 3 years ago they were $1.50 or $2 at best, and now they're 8 to 10 to 12. So the last couple of days I've just really just been kind of deciding how I want to tackle things. But along the lines of the TTM, I think I decided that as far as like looking for retail, hunting for retail, and ripping it, I think I'm gonna put that on hold for a while. Start banging out some more TTMs because I know a lot of people have gotten successes from like Nick Solak and stuff like that.
hmm.
That's one I need to get on for sure.
Yeah, I haven't tried. Well, no, I lied. I have tried one player at the stadium, but it's only been like 2 weeks. So I've sent out to a stadium, and then I'm starting to do the alternate sites because since the AAA season is delayed, the start of that, the teams are already at their – so they have players at their alternate sites, which is basically their AAA team. Each team's doing it a little weird. So I sent off some to the Twins because they're at their AAA site, and then other teams are actually – so the AAA season is delayed, but the AAA teams are having scrimmages at the alternate sites, and they're charging admission for the fans. So they're basically playing the AAA games, which it kind of blows my mind. I don't understand why the season's it's going to be COVID related. So I mean, but what the actual excuse may be, I'm not sure. So I've been doing that with the more recent guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I collect the Japanese and Taiwanese players, so I just send to all the Japanese guys, and still haven't gotten anything back. Well, I got one return to sender from spring training, and then the rest of them that I sent out, I haven't gotten anything back yet. But the one return to sender I went ahead. He's at the alternate site, so I just sent it there. And the good thing is, at the alternate sites, a lot of them are AAA ballparks, so their address is readily available. Yeah.
Yeah, public information, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times, if you go on the team's website for whatever that AAA team is, they'll have the stadium address and be like, "Hey, this is how you address the fan mail." So fingers crossed. Hopefully, in a couple weeks, well, hopefully, maybe this weekend, I'll get something that kind of speaking it into existence. But
Yeah,
so
that's the worst part about TTM is you send it out and there's just it's in God's hands after that.
yeah, yeah, you wait, and then you're like, man, I don't feel like doing this stuff anymore. You kind of get in that rut, and then you get a success back, and then it motivates you, and you're able to knock out a few more letters and get them sent out. So hopefully that's another thing we can talk to Jeff about. I'm really interested to see if he still gets fan mail and stuff like that, because the last time he played was in 2013. So it's been almost 8 years since he's played. So I'm wondering if he still gets fan mail, because he has a decent amount of cards. I looked it up on trading card database, and he has 78 cards. So probably a good chance that he still gets stuff in the mail.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a set collector out there somewhere that has definitely scoured the internet for his home address, business address, or whatever, and has found something.
Yeah, because he's in a few Bowman releases, and also I hate saying this name, but it was a company called Just Miners. That's a trading card company, and yeah, it was a horrible name, but awesome. It looks like
Do that in 2021.
yeah, no, and he popped up, but I don't see his photo. Let's see if we can get him to connect. It's thinking. Yeah, but yeah, I know a lot of people they try to collect the entire set and everything, but so Jeff will be on soon once he gets his interwebs figured out. So have you just not been finding any retail lately, and that's what it is, or?
No, I mean I definitely have, and it's all been baseball. But like I've mentioned before, I'm baseball first anyway. But I would like a little bit of football every now and then. But it's football and basketball ain't happening unless you have some type of backdoor resource or some type of botting. But it's mainly come down to I have horrible luck with pulling anything anyway. So it's and I was working on that 91 I think upper deck set.
Yeah. All right. Hey, what's up, Jeff?
Hey guys.
So,
Hey,
ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Lyman is here. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, I can't say thank you enough, because I'm
my pleasure.
Super excited. I busted out the Stockton Ports shirt for you.
Nice.
And I have the correct era Myrtle Beach Pelicans hat when they were the Braves affiliate. So, yeah, I wanted to make sure that I made you feel comfortable and everything. So
nice.
We were just talking about collecting, and obviously from your background, you're a pretty big collector yourself.
Yeah, so I got started pretty young. My brother and I had season tickets to Oakland A's games, and so we would go down there. We'd be, as soon as they opened up the field, we'd be the first guys out there for batting practice, like hanging out by the dugouts, trying to get as many autographs as we could, and just kind of soak it up and see what we could do. And that was a lot of fun. It was those A's teams with Eric Chavez, Miguel Tejada, Giambi. And then the pitching staffs were always my favorites. With
the big three.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
So were you mainly getting cards signed, or?
No, it's just it was typically getting baseball signed at the time. Occasionally, if I pulled an A's player and remembered to actually bring it with me into the field and didn't fold it in half in my pocket and stuff, get it signed, but only a couple then.
So I wanted to talk about your baseball career first, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
And I wanted to talk about like kind of disprove the baseball dads that think baseball is easy. I think it's the hardest sport in the world. And so hopefully you can enlighten those guys about just how difficult it is. But so you were drafted out of high school, second round in 2005.
Yep.
So
that's correct.
When you were in high school, when did scouts start showing up to your games? Do you remember that?
I do, and it was definitely weird. So growing up, I obviously played baseball since I was in t-ball and stuff. But my freshman year in high school, I went to a big high school with 4,000 or 5,000 students. So we had three teams. We had the freshman, varsity, and JV team.
Okay.
The freshman year went out for the freshman team and actually got cut. Didn't make the team. So I was all bummed. But the math teacher was the head coach, and kid quit like a week later, and he's like, all right, I've got a spot on the team if you want to come be like our fourth string catcher. Like, cool, sure, I'll do it. And so that did that, and was a terrible catcher. Like I think I started one game and had like 13 passed balls. Like it was absurd. So that summer, I was trying to play football too, and was like, of course, the fourth string quarterback there too. Big bench guy my first couple years.
Just like me.
Yeah, but was like, getting physically bigger and stronger. I grew like 6 inches, 7 inches over a year. And then the next year went out there and I was like, okay, I'll try pitching. First couple of pitches were like 77, 78 miles an hour. And the coach was like, why don't you try throwing harder? I was like, what? I was like, yeah, just try and throw harder. Okay. The next couple of pitches were like 85, 87, 88. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like maybe I can do this. And so ended up playing varsity my sophomore year. And then that summer was like, started touching 90, 92, 93. And like, oh, wow. Okay. This is kind of fun.
So were you doing anything in the off season at all?
So I was working out with the football team and like lifting weights with them. And since I was, the backup, I would take the wide receivers to my other super backups to the far end of the field and throw as many deep passes as I could in a row. And then not knowing, like doing that for 4 or 5 months, coming back and going like, oh, I've got some arm strength now.
Yeah, it was basically doing long toss.
Yeah. And long toss and weighted balls, but kind of before we really knew what we were doing. So
yeah. That's crazy. And so I'm assuming junior year, scouts started showing up, or?
Yeah. So junior year, so I grew up in the Bay Area, in Northern California, and we've got a pretty good hotbed of talent, like in our area. So there was always 1 or 2 pitchers who would get drafted out of our league a year, and we would always, play in our division, a couple guys who were top high school prospects. So, I got to face some of those guys and, pitch then. And then, my, playing the Aflac All-American game after my junior year and stuff. And
I have that card. I'll show it later.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's junior year is kind of when the pro scouts started showing up, which was a whole weird, unique experience.
Yeah. So, dude, I know you can't tell, but I've never been scouted before, so I'm kind of new to the process. So do they just come up to you before the game, be like, hey, I'm with the Braves, no pressure, but I'm watching you tonight?
No. So what it kind of is you could always tell the difference between pro and college scouts, because pro scouts had to wear pants no matter what. So it'd be 110 degrees outside, and the guy's like sitting there in long pants, like, he's a pro scout as opposed to the college scout who's in shorts. But essentially, like, what would happen is I'd just, when I'm warming up, like kind of look around, and there would just be some like kind of weird guess creepy like I'm like, oh, what's this guy like doing? Or maybe they'd have a polo with the logo on it or something, but wouldn't say anything, and you just sit there and kind of like, is that a scout? Is that not a scout? Like, what's this guy doing? So, and then obviously when the game starts, the radar gun's a dead giveaway.
Yeah. Radar gun, the stopwatch, the notepad, and everything.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah, they wouldn't tell you or anything like that. My senior year, when all this was going on, I had one of those like brick Nokia cell phones, and would be playing Snake more times than paying attention in class. But the scouts would call and text me during the school week and be like, "Hey, when are you pitching this week? What's the deal there?" And so that's when I would kind of know, like, hey, there may be more at this game than the next or something. So
how did they get your cell phone number?
I gave it to them. So
okay.
So they, and then in the mail we would get these like actually big packets, and it's funny because my dad was actually cleaning out our garage the other week and was like, hey, I found all of like the letters you got from college and stuff. And so he sent it to me the other day, which is like,
that is so awesome that they kept
all these, all the questionnaires I had to do. Like, you can see it, like that's the Giants.
That's so cool.
So yeah, so he sent it to me the other day, and you fill those out with, just kind of everything you could think of. Yeah, so, and then they do the in-house meetings as well, which was
okay. And then I read that you actually committed to Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you have a set plan for after your senior year, where, hey, if I don't get taken in this round, then I'm going to college?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So that was the plan, and the second round was the cutoff. So
really?
Yeah. So if I wasn't going to go in the top first two rounds, then I was fully ready to go to school, and looking forward to it. So one of my best friends that I played summer ball with was Brett Wallace, who
he went to ASU.
Yeah, first round pick by the Cardinals.
Astros.
Cardinals got traded a dozen times and stuff, and so we kind of made a pact, like, all right, you're going to be the hitter, you're going to be the position player, I'll be the pitcher. We'll go as a package deal to whatever school we choose. And so I decided to go give up a ton of runs in the minor leagues, and he decided to win some triple crowns and MVPs in the Pac-10.
Yeah, that ASU team was loaded because Travis Buck, Jeff Lyman.
Yeah, those guys were a year or two older than me. So our class was Ike Davis, Petey Paramore, myself, Jeremy Hellickson. I can't really remember who else, but that was our group. So
yeah, that's insane. So you're going to get drafted. How do you find an agent? Do they come to you? Like,
yeah, that's another good question. That was a very weird process as well. They would come to me or my dad or mom or something like that. And, typically if we were at tournaments or, start to get calls, and, then they'd come in house and do, we do these interviews, and, I'm a 17, 18-year-old kid sitting there going like, okay, like, tell me why you can do this for me. Like, just feeling like it was a very weird experience. I was pretty much, my criteria was for picking an agent was like, if you can find me a prom date, like that's my biggest concern right now. Like, if you can get the cute girl on the soccer team to say yes to go to prom with me, then like, yeah, that's what I'm worried about right now.
That is awesome. Yeah.
So
that kind of leads to a question that I had was, in the whole process of, figuring out like, oh, hey, I can actually kind of throw this ball and it's fun. Was there a point for you that it clicked? Or like, maybe I can do this on a professional level, or like, okay, I've got what it takes to do it on a professional level, or does not really come to you like that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's no like defining moment where you're like, oh, I guess I can or can't do this. It's kind of like, okay, I'm continually playing against better and better and better competition. To the point where you go to the All-American games and showcases and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, I'm still doing well. Like I'm holding on my own. Like this may be something. So yeah, as you kind of like go and expose yourself, because you never really know in high school, because maybe you'll have one or two guys on the other team that'll go D1, as opposed to, you go to these big showcases of the All-American games where everybody is, going to play at the next level.
Yeah, because I think in your All-American game, wasn't that the year Andrew McCutcheon was there?
Yeah. So it was like Upton, McCutcheon, Posey, got all those guys. Yeah.
That it just blows my mind, like hearing all these names playing against them as an 18-year-old. But then they were their names known in those circles, or?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we could. Justin Upton was the number one prospect and was like one of the most highly touted high school prospects in a long time. So kind of everybody knew who he was. McCutcheon, you could like, he had the fastest hands I'd ever seen at 17 years old. Like I remember watching him take BP and like going like, oh my God, like, wait, what? And so I remember him being really impressive. There were other guys who were really good who didn't quite have like amazing careers. John Danks was one of them.
White Sox and Rangers.
Yep, and his brother was Jordan.
University of Texas.
Yep. Cameron Maben was part of that class as well. And then there were some guys that like I got, that I played with in those games that, we became really good friends all throughout professional baseball. So Bo Jones was, one of the guys on the team, and he was the Braves supplemental pick my year. And like my son's name is Bo now. So like, to give you an idea of how tight we are, like, another Zach Putnam, like we played together, and then we're in the fall league together, and Indians and White Sox and in the fall league together, and would go out to Ann Arbor and go to a football game with him every year and stuff. So it was fun to see like those relationships progress, like as we all kind of climb the ladder and, and stuff together.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but was that All-American game, that was in Maryland, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Cal Stadium.
Yeah. Where the Ironbirds play.
Yep.
So was that I guess it probably wouldn't be your first experience playing in a huge stadium like that though. Yeah.
I kind of was. Yeah. We just mostly play at like some high school or college fields, but that was the first, I guess, professional stadium that I had played at.
Yeah, and that one, it's a beautiful stadium. I'm originally from Maryland, and if nobody's ever seen that stadium, it's pretty much a miniature version of Camden Yards. They have a warehouse out in right field, and I think it's a hotel, if I'm not mistaken. But so you get drafted straight out of high school, and it looked like you signed pretty fast because you were able to play in the Gulf Coast League.
Yeah. So got drafted, and kind of had an agreement with, I guess my agent had been talking to the Braves on my behalf, kind of unbeknownst to me, saying, he would ask like, all right, if the Braves took you in this end of the second round and, gave you slot, would you go? Yeah, sure. And so and so I guess like come draft day, the scout that night came over with the contract, and I signed the night of the draft.
Really? Oh, yeah. And that's the other thing. I'm glad you mentioned the draft that I wanted to ask you. So even though this was back in 2005, MLB Network didn't exist. So there was no draft on TV.
No.
Did you have like a special website that you could watch the draft on?
Yeah, so it was actually just a website where they streamed the conference call, and it was a conference call. It was a conference call between the 30 GMs and the commissioner, and they gave us the link, and you could like listen into the conference call and see if someone says your name. So that was kind of the only way.
I'm imagining it. Oh, go ahead, Houston. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, take us back to that moment when you did hear your name called, and you're like, "This is happening."
Yeah, so that was really, really weird. It was the draft was on June 6th or 7th or 8th, and our school didn't get out until the 15th or 16th. So I was in the middle of like dead week for taking finals for my last senior year. And the draft was on a Tuesday. And so me and a bunch of my friends like didn't go to school that day. Just hung out at my house and like, went swimming and hung out and stuff. And then we listened to the draft, and then like, I don't know. I mean, it was hearing your name get called like that is pretty wild. Especially like when it's relatively high and that's what it's going to do. So, I mean, it came down to like, there were 3 more picks in the second round. So it either happens here or it doesn't. So yeah, that was wild. And then, family and friends and everybody like that came over that evening, and we signed the contract. And then I had to go to school the next day and take finals.
Wow.
Yeah.
How popular were you the next day?
So what I always say is that like, there's some girls in class like, oh my God, Jeff, how come we never hang out? Like, how come we never hang out? Like, well, this is the first time you're talking to me. Like right now, this is the first time you're talking to me. So that's why we've never hung out. But like,
That's funny, man. So, one other thing I wanted to ask you about. You had a chance meeting. I've done research, if you haven't noticed. You had a chance meeting with Trevor Hoffman in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Just randomly ran into Trevor.
Yeah, so it was. This is actually a really cool story. So this was my junior year, like around Thanksgiving. Me and my dad and my brother went to Hawaii, but the week before, my dad went to Stanford, and his I guess buddy's neighbor, like he ended up meeting JT Snow at a party like the week before we were there. And it turns out that, JT was like, hey, I'm going to be in Hawaii at the same hotel at the same time. Like, hopefully see you. So the first night we're there, like JT Snow walks by with his wife, and he's like, Tom, who's my dad, Tom, this is your son, Jeff. And Scott, like, good to meet you. Like, hey, Jeff, I've got some buddies I want to introduce you to. Come find me down at the beach tomorrow. Okay, cool. Go down there. It's Trevor Hoffman, Jamie Moyer, Brett Boone, and him. And he's like, so I'm start talking to them, and they're all giving me a hard time because I had committed to ASU, and JT Snow and Trevor Hoffman went to U of A.
Yeah, University of Arizona.
Rival. So they're so they're giving me a hard time, like, oh, okay, like, Sun Devil, blah blah blah. He goes, hey, we've got a wiffle ball. And Trevor Hoffman goes like, hey, do you throw a changeup? I go, I throw a split finger. I've always had a hard time with the changeup. And he goes, all right, here, let's get this wiffle ball. And so he starts showing me where I'm throwing to Jamie Moyer and Trevor Hoffman standing next to me, and they're both going like, okay, like pronate a little more, put a little more pressure on this finger, like with a wiffle ball. And we were out there for like 2 or 3 hours just throwing wiffle balls, like on the beach
in Hawaii.
And it was like, yeah. And like, then occasionally like JT Snow would walk up there and be like, okay, like you kind of were tipping that, or like Brett Boone was like, okay, lay your wrist back a little bit more because you can see it, like. And so it was one of the coolest, like, sessions, I've ever had. Yeah.
So we have a Cardinals fan, 1990, wanted to say hi. So hi. Thank you for joining in. What's up, Houston? You had a question?
Just gonna say that's like a once in a lifetime experience right there.
Yeah, that's insane. So, you report to the Gulf Coast League.
Mhm.
So, what was it like as far as did they have any type of how do I want to word it? So, I'm in the Air Force, right? I joined right out of high school, and I get shipped off, and it's okay. Now you have to be an adult, even though the week before you were underage drinking, stuff like that. And now you actually have a job and an actual responsibility. So, did they teach you guys like, hey, you've come into money now? Here's how you pay your bills. This is what you need to live in an apartment. Here's how you buy insurance. Was there
none of that? Yeah, it was literally like, here's your check. Yeah, here's your check for your bonus. Like, be on the field at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Like, see you there. So it was not. I mean, and throughout the process, and this is something that has evolved over the years. Mm-hmm. I'm still kind of involved with baseball and the players and stuff like that. So their education and what they're getting now is exponentially better than what essentially was non-existent when I signed. Yeah. Nothing about like how to balance a checkbook, how to pay your rent, like how to you just hopefully had a roommate or someone you were friends with who was a couple years older who could kind of like go, okay, this is how you do it the first time. So, yeah, no, I mean, that was kind of it. Like, all right, go get them. Like, you're a pro now.
Man, so that's going to lead into a question I have, which pretty much answered it, is like, but maybe you could piggyback off that a little bit as far as like transitioning from like a high school student to an actual professional baseball player. Was there much of a transition? Was it hard to transition, or was it just kind of you just roll with the punches kind of a thing at that point?
In terms of like day-to-day lifestyle or what it's like on the field?
Yeah, like day-to-day stuff, like lifestyle stuff, day-to-day.
Yeah, I mean, there was obviously like some big adjustments. I mean, went from living at my parents' house my entire life to going to a small, kind of dingy hotel room in Orlando with where they put us up, and trying to figure out how to get to and from the field, like because we didn't have cars, how to get to and from the field, like how to get to the grocery store. It's it's 120 degrees outside in July in Orlando. Like how many groceries am I really going to carry back, like to my apartment, like place?
That's one of the things that I'm glad you talked about, that I don't think a lot of people understand. Every episode my dog needs to go outside. Oh, so okay. Houston, I'll let you take over real fast. I'll mute while I let the dog out.
But yeah, that was just kind of like what I was wondering, is kind of like you were saying, there was none of that, but I guess there's not anybody there to tell you, like, if you want to get to the grocery store, the thing we've learned over the years is to take two people so you can carry more back instead of just going in there, grabbing a soda and a 1 ounce bag of chips and heading back. That kind of, I didn't know if it was like there was someone there to kind of give you pointers, or if it was more.
Not really. I mean, it's kind of just a free for all, really. Like, and especially the first week or two when you don't really know anybody, like going, okay, like it's Sunday, we have an off day, I can't go anywhere, I don't know anybody, like what am I gonna do here today? So then being like 3,000 miles away from all your family and friends who are on their senior trip because they just graduated the other day. So
or FaceTime too.
Yeah, no fan. Yeah. Oh, this was. Yeah, I can't believe I'm that old now.
It really wasn't that long ago, but the leaps and bounds that technology has made. So, you played in the Gulf Coast League, and then 2006 you also spent time in the Golf League, but then you also went to the Sally League in Rome. So I'm assuming 2006 you broke camp with the Rome Braves.
Yeah, I did. So Bo and I were the two pitchers who got drafted the year before, who kind of skipped the advanced rookie season and went straight to the full season. So that was really cool. That was kind of the first like actual taste of pitching with, you know, fans in the crowd, and you know, because no one goes to Gulf Coast League games.
No, I live here in Arizona, and I love to go into the Arizona Rookie League because it's basically the pitchers are either charting or they're just in their workout gear, hanging out, watching the game, and then you don't have to pay. You bring in whatever food you want. There's no ushers. Half the times the scoreboard isn't even on, and it's just a bunch of dudes with radar guns. So but
that was fun. That was interesting, and you know, I started off pitching really well, and then we took a pitcher's BP one day, and I threw out my back, and went, you know, missed like a couple months, and then had to go back to the Gulf Coast League to rehab and stuff like that. So that was kind of the first taste of like, you know, a little bit of like, okay, I'm not, you know, this is real. Like, got to start taking like much better care of myself, and how like. So
is that kind of when it clicked that, hey, this is actually a job. This is something that I do for my livelihood now. And even though it's a game, it's not just for fun. Shit's real. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, you know, coming off the field and then, you know, missing games and stuff like that, like while everybody else is playing is tough. But, yeah, I mean, everybody goes through it at some point or another.
Yeah. And even though it's low A or it's rookie ball, I don't think people understand how good these guys actually are. Because you have you still have like the 16, 17, 18-year-old guys coming over from the Dominican and stuff like Latin America that aren't ready for, you know, short season or a full season. So they'll just leave them in the Gulf Coast League for a couple of years.
Or in the Dominican or
And these dudes are throwing 90, like 17 years. Everybody's throwing over 90. So they think, oh, it's, you know, rookie ball. But no, like, so how good are these guys, even though they're, you know, super young?
So the best way to kind of describe the gaps between levels is consistency, right? So you could take pretty much, you know, 80 or 90% of the guys in low A or high A, and on their best day, put them in the big leagues and they'll compete like and do well. Now, how many times out of 100 are they going to do that though? So, you know, when I was 18 or 19, if you put me in the big leagues on my best day, I probably would be okay. But we don't know if that was going to be my best day or not. And most likely it wouldn't be. So, which is why, you know, so a guy in low A or high A, you know, they're going to give you, you know, 10%. You're going to have 10 to 15, you know, maybe 20%. Guy in high A, double A, probably 30, 50% of the time. Triple A, 60, 70. And when you get to the big leagues, you're probably around on your best, like 75 to 90% of the time. So that's just the consistency. And that goes even further back. Like, how many pitches out of 100 are going to be executed and at that high level? So same thing, like you get a major leaguer and 60 to 75, if not, you know, more, well, probably more, like 80%, 90% of those pitches are where they want, if not missed in the right place.
So when you mean execution, hitting the catcher's glove, not him, you know, framing it for you, anything like that, hitting your spots.
Right. And there's a difference between like not only hitting your spot, but missing properly. It's a tough concept that like is the best guys like good, even better is, you know, where do you miss? And it's the same thing in golf and stuff like that too. Like controlling your misses. So
yeah. And so you get to Rome. How many days do you have? So for me, I grew up in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
The Suns are in the Sally League. You guys didn't play against them. I looked because of the travel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it alternated every couple years. But usually the team gets into town like maybe 3 days before the season even starts. And again, that's just something that blows my mind, where you probably didn't have anywhere to live.
No. So yeah, you show up in Rome, like you drive from Orlando, go to Rome, and then show up there, and you've got 3 or 4 days before the season starts where, you're doing practices a couple of those days, and then, trying to find a place to live, and going to Walmart and buying a TV and a bed and seeing what you can there, and, making sure you keep the receipts so you can return it after, 80 days and stuff, because, you're not making any money at all. So,
So you didn't live with a host family then?
Not my first year.
No.
There.
So when did you live with a host family?
When I went back to Rome the next year.
Okay. And how was that? Did that make you, well, you were back in Rome, so you were kind of familiar with the territory,
Mm-hmm.
know your way to the stadium, but did that put you more at ease being with a host family?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely did. Host families are the saviors of minor leaguers. Like, they are, the saints that walk among us for the most part. So, it's, having a place that is going to be there. Like, you didn't have to drop a rent check and stuff like that. And most of the families are like so generous and thoughtful with, giving you meals. Like, come down in the morning, like there would be, eggs if you wanted to make yourself breakfast, or, something like that, where
you become
that goes a long way.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you've been catching up on the news with minor league baseball, but some teams are actually not doing the host family programs this year, and that's kind of sad, because I know in Hagerstown that was kind of a big deal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
The family felt proud because you have to apply for it. It's there's a selection process, and people take it serious, and it's almost like a competition between the families. Like, hey, my player, did you see what he did last night? Type thing.
Right. No, and some of those, some of the cities, the host family community is pretty tight knit, and does such a good job of not only like boosting up the players, but the team and the community itself. So it's it's definitely important, but it's sad that like they're kind of moving away from that. But the reason the teams are doing so is because they're finally realizing like how valuable their prospects are, and so they want to have a more consistent touch. They don't want to send them off to the host family where they could be eating whatever they want.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to keep you here. This is going to be all the minor league teams are getting their own like chefs now.
Wow.
Yeah. So especially with things like the size of the teams, amount of teams being reduced so significantly, is that like they're streamlining everything and making it kind of more of the academy kind of feel. Where,
the Manfred snap. Thanos a lot of teams, including But so the next year, you actually went to Myrtle Beach, which is pretty close to Houston's stomping grounds. How now, me being from Maryland, I used to go on vacation to Myrtle Beach a lot. It's like is it the Redneck Riviera, or is that somewhere else? I love Myrtle Beach. I absolutely love it. So you had to have had a blast playing there.
Yeah, I loved it maybe a little bit too much the first couple months we were there. It was a lot of fun. And it was one of the things where the team that we had, I think, like, was awesome at home, because the other team would be out till 2 or 3 o'clock, like every night, and show up to the field. Like,
the stadium's right there, Broadway at the beach, right?
Yeah, Broadway at the beach. So
yeah, good time. Good times.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Fun place to play for sure.
So then 2009, this is the first time I actually met you, was Arizona Fall League.
Mm-hmm.
And you ended up, get the cards out. So one of your minis, that's one of my favorites, the mini parallel. Then your chrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were talking about this. I hated the name of this card company, Just Miners.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then your Aflac card.
Oh, Aflac card. Yeah.
Yeah. So for people that aren't familiar with the Arizona Fall League, there's only 6 teams. So each team has about 5 or 6 prospects made up of 5 players from each team, but it's basically an all-star team. And the AFL is pretty notorious for sending the best hitters out there from their organization. So how tough was that, facing pretty much an all-star lineup every outing?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough pitchers league to be in for sure. And that was, the Arizona Fall League was probably like one of the most fun, cool experiences I had. So in 2009, I actually put together a halfway decent season and, got invited out there, which was cool. And the guys, the guys who went out with me that year were Jason Hayward, Freddie Freeman, Craig Kimbrell, Mike Miner, and Brandon Hicks. So I wonder what those guys are up to now.
I think I know a couple of them.
Yeah. So those are the Braves guys who went that year.
So, and you actually reached AAA that year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2009. You were with Gwinnett. So one of the other things about the AFL is you have coaches from all the different organizations as well. So the coach that the Braves sent, was he a pitching coach?
Yeah, it was Jim Zykowski, who was actually the pitching coach in Low A that I had as well. And he and I didn't necessarily have the best relationship when I was in Low A. We were great together, but then a couple years later, when we got back together, it was one of those things, relationships that just clicked, and we were able to, really start to feed some cool ideas off of each other. And it was a lot of fun. And, I got added to the 40-man at the end of the fall league and stuff, which was pretty cool too.
Yeah, and that's a huge deal. I remember your post on Twitter about that. I don't think people understand how big of a deal that is to be added to the 40-man roster, because every year they have the Rule 5 draft, and if you're not on the 40-man roster, you're pretty much fair game for any team that wants you.
Right.
So that must have been a huge confidence boost to know that, hey, the Braves want to protect me.
Right.
The 29 other teams. But in the AFL, a lot of times it's pitchers get sent there that have maybe missed some time due to injury, and they just want them to get innings, and they don't really care about the performance. Or maybe you're working on a new pitch that you were, working on at Instructs or something like that. So what was the Braves' plan for sending you out there? Did they want to work on anything specific? So,
yeah, it was that whole year I'd gone back and forth between starter reliever. It didn't really seem like we could make up our mind where that was going to go. So they decided, okay, you're going to be a reliever now. This is what you do. So when you go out there, you're just going to be coming out of the pen. None of these, you're going to have 3 appearances out of the pen and then make 4 starts in a row and then go back. So kind of just to get some more innings out of the pen, and then try and tighten up a slider type pitch that didn't end up getting tightened up. But yeah, so that was kind of the plan out there.
Did you have scouting reports for the guys that you would be facing, or because I'm not sure if people are familiar with the level of players? So you got some guys that have spent time in the majors, and there's a couple guys that haven't even made it out of low A, so you may not be familiar with them as far as facing them.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, they call the fall league the grad school of the minors and stuff. So yeah, no scouting reports. You would just kind of go out there and try and work on the things that you needed to. It was a weird middle ground between, the minor league season where you're, competing and stuff like that, and spring training where you're just practicing. So is the fine line of like, all right, the main goal here is to develop, but also I really need to compete and want to get these hitters are really good. So trying to get some guys out too. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people watching. And for me, someone that likes autographs, absolutely love the Arizona Fall League. I'm not sure if it was the year you were there, but I actually ran into Bobby Cox in the stands watching one of the games. I'm not sure if it was
the year I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it was there. Was there.
Yeah, they all came out. Yeah, I actually remember that game.
Surprise.
It was the first time I faced Buster Posey since high school. And so I remember talking to him before the game and being like, oh, well.
Yeah,
actually, 4 years later. Yeah.
I think I was walking to the bathroom or something, did a double take, seen Bobby Cox, hauled ass over to the Target across the street to get a baseball sign. And luckily I lived close enough in Peoria that I was able to go get some cards and get it signed too. And I was starstruck. So when you got to spring training, was it hard to not be a fan?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of was. I mean, that team, had Chipper Jones, Troy Gloss, McCann was the catcher, but I'd gotten to know him pretty well over the years. Tim Hudson, Billy Wagner, Derek Lowe, like all these guys. And I'm, supposed to be like, holy shit, that's Chipper Jones. Not like, not be like walking around with my, asking him to sign balls and stuff like that for me. So yeah, it was definitely like interesting because I grew up like a huge Tim Hudson fan. He was the right.
The Bay Area, yeah.
Yeah, and so like going out to dinner with him, like went out to dinner with him in the first couple things. I was like, man, I don't want to do this to you, but when you would warm up and you'd give the ball to a kid whenever you were done, we had the season tickets right next to the bullpen, and you would give that ball to me or my brother every single time. And he was like, that was you? He's like, oh my God, I'm old. Like,
that is awesome, man. That's great. So, did you ever feel comfortable enough to ask for autographs, or?
I asked for 2 autographs when I was there. It was for Derek Lowe and for Chipper. And I was like so I ended up pitching like really well when I was there, and was one of the last like pitchers to get sent down. Actually, I didn't actually get sent down. They just
reassigned
me at the end of camp, and like, okay, you're going to AAA. So so it was that was a lot of fun. And at the end, like when we were in Turner Field playing the White Sox for an exhibition game, before the game, they're like, all right, Bobby wants to see you in his office. I'm like, okay, well, here it comes. Like, and he goes, hey, Jeff, we've got no reason to send you down. Like, but we have to because we signed Billy Wagner and Takashi Saito this offseason, and there are no spots in the bullpen. So go to AAA and be ready. I'm like, shit. Okay, cool.
Man, that is crazy. So yeah, just talking to Bobby Cox, like me personally, I still can't get over it. And I just had a chance meeting with him, but this is someone that you were around, almost on a daily basis. I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know if I could have kept my composure as well as you did, or at least.
Yeah, I don't know if I did a good job either, but like at least maybe on the outside, but inside I'm like, yeah.
So one thing I've always wanted to ask: did you ever practice your autograph?
Yeah, I think there were a few. There's a few notebooks from that were supposed to be, taking notes in
Uh-huh.
history or something that are just signatures over
So
and over again.
when you sorry to backtrack, but so when you get drafted, does your agent get a hold of you that, hey, Topps wants to put you in a release, or how does something like that work?
So when you sign a minor league contract, they essentially give you a Topps contract as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's literally like, kind of part of the deal. Then Topps has your rights to produce a card, and they don't have to tell you or anything like that. Whatever release you're in, they just kind of pick and choose what Bowman or Topps release you're going to be in.
Mhm.
The only type of separate contract is for the autographs.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, and so you sign the first contract, which is just your standard. Like Topps now has your rights, your non-exclusive rights, obviously. But then your agent goes, okay, you're going to sign 5,000 autographs for $5 a piece. Like the Topps guy will be
that
there.
was going to be a question I asked, because I know when I interviewed Chris Gronkowski, he was basically saying that the agent was like, you're going to sign 1,500 cards, or 1,500 cards at $1 per card, and then the actual price that you get paid per card is what's kind of negotiated. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah. So let's say I would sign I think it was like my deal was like 5,000 cards or something like that for $2 or $3 a card, and then but the first round pick is probably getting like $7 to $10 to $20 a card. And so they'll sign 7,000 of them for 25 $25 a card.
Was that something when it was presented to you, like the autograph side of it, where you like, I don't want a freaking autograph 14 billion cards? Where you
I
like,
was like, hell yeah! I was like, hell yeah, let's do it! Like,
yeah.
All right.
How long did it take you to go through 1,000 cards?
I mean, I remember like 4 or 5 hours straight. Like, so that's why when you see some sloppy signatures on cards from guys, like give them a break.
Yeah,
that's a lot. Yeah.
Doing car inspections on vehicles every day. Every car we do an inspection on, they get 2 copies, and the inspector has to sign both copies. So if I do 15 cars, that's 30 copies, and I never signed my name the same way twice.
Right.
I couldn't even imagine anything over like 50. I'd be like, you know what? Just give, like, they can just give their money. Like I'll give their money back. I'm done.
Like I'll cut them a check. Like, yeah. No,
and this was before sticker autographs, right?
No, I signed like a couple thousand stickers too, which is a lot easier than signing each individual card. But
because all the stickers are all in one sheet.
Yeah, they're just like all lined up, so you can knock them out quick.
Not seeing them or anything. So when would you say you signed your first autograph? Probably with Rome.
So no, I mean back in high school, like.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking about an actual card though.
Yeah, I think it was Rome.
Yeah. Did you ever get used to being asked for your autograph?
No.
Do you? So me and Houston, we do a lot of TTM. Do you still get fan mail?
Occasionally. I mean, I'd probably say, maybe 10, 12 times a year.
Yeah.
Now, like, maybe once a month, someone will send something who's like trying to complete a set, or that's what a lot of it is. Like, hey, or like, hey, I collect like washed up Braves minor leaguers, or I need a set. Like, you're the last one on the Aflac set. Like, I need, so.
Now I know some players are okay with signing mail at home. Does that weird you out at all? That somebody has your address?
No, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm all right with it. And I mean, a lot of the times, like, someone will ask, just ask me find my email address on LinkedIn, or, message me on Twitter and like, hey, can I send you something? Like, sure. here's my address. So,
Do you remember the first piece of mail that you got? It was like addressed to you with some like random person's your name, and you're just like, "What in the world is this?"
yeah, that was one of those things where I had to ask one of the older guys, like, "What do I do here?" We'll sign it, put it in the envelope, and then send it out. Like, oh, okay, like, got it.
Yeah. Well, where's the post office? I'm new to this town. I don't know where that's at, you know. So you also collect cards, and you have some really, really good cards. I wanted to take a picture. One of our topics was grading, how we're kind of on the fence about it, and I think you probably know where I'm going to go with this. The Mike Trout rookie,
Right?
that somehow was graded a 3. I don't know if you've seen it, Houston, but he has the would it be called the Diamond Anniversary or the Diamond?
Yeah, the 2011 Diamond Anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Trout rookie card. Sent it in to PSA. It came back at 3, and the edges are probably sharp enough to cut your finger, but somehow it got a 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty, like, there's a couple surface scratches, but like there's a significant like dent. It's not. If I were to guess, like me and my buddies were looking at it and we're like, 6, 7, no worse than maybe a 6, 5 if you're really unlucky. So when it came back, and I posted that on Twitter, and like both the president of PSA and like the head of quality control reached out and was like, hey, you can resubmit it and stuff if you want, but I had actually sold it already.
Right.
So
well, that's good, because I mean, it takes you 8 months to get it back, but they're only accepting Super Express right now.
Yeah.
So who do you Well, I've seen on your Twitter. I think you said you collect the Big Four: Trout, East, Bichette, and
Soto.
Yeah, Soto.
Yeah.
Childish Bambino.
Yeah.
He's going to be good.
So, I mean, collect Trout because he's special. I faced him in Double-A when he was with Arkansas, I think in 2010, like right before he got called up. And he was one of those guys, like there's been a couple where, even over the course of a couple games, you can go like, this guy's special. And that's like, John Carlos Stanton or Mike Stanton when I played against him. Mike Stanton and, Trout, like he was on first, there was a ball hit up the middle and he went first to third. And I remember looking like, I don't know if I haven't seen someone run that hard. Like he looked like a running, like a fullback, like taking a turn. It was just kind of, you could tell there was something different about the way he did things. So, him, and then, like I said, I do some work and was still with some players. And so, work with Tatis and Acuna and stuff. So, have them. And then I'm just a big fan of Soto's game.
Yeah. So, what do you do with these guys? Because people may be confused that, hey, you're a pitcher and these are, infielder and an outfielder.
So yeah, nothing to do with baseball anymore.
Oh, okay, all right.
All finance and stuff related.
Okay, good. Well, that's good though. That that, you can kind of mentor some of these younger players that teach them these things. I don't want to keep you. I know you got some little ones. One of my friends did reach out to me on Twitter. They wanted me to ask you about your time in the Australian league with the Canberra Cavalry.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. So I had I hurt my shoulder and kind of knew things were over for the most part. I was still able to like get through a bullpen or, an inning or two, but, would have to brush my teeth left-handed that night or something. So
yeah, because at that time you were bouncing around the independent leagues. Right.
So yeah, I had Tommy John and then came back and immediately hurt my shoulder. So, I kind of figured like, okay, I'm going to have this cool opportunity to go to Australia and play for a couple months like this. Why not take full advantage of it? So yeah, I went down there and, they've got a really cool setup. All the teams are in the major cities. So you fly, play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday games, and you can hang out in, Sydney or Perth or Adelaide, like for a day or two afterwards. And, and our team got to go to Taiwan and play in the Asia Cup and play against the top teams from Taiwan, Japan, Korea, and stuff.
The Asian Winter League.
Yeah, the Asia. It was called the Asia Series.
Okay.
So, like, we played like Rakuten Golden Eagles when they had Tanaka and stuff, and an Australian team had never won a game, and our team ended up winning the series.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
So I've traveled overseas, and I know how the jet lag can mess with you. But Australia, you're on the opposite side of the world, where December it's like 90 degrees. December, January, their winter is our summer. So did that mess with you all? It messes.
No, I mean, you just went from one summer to the next. So it was it was fun, but it was hot.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I know you're busy. I'm not super popular on Twitter, but is there anything that you want to plug? The floor is yours.
No, just keep having fun with it, enjoy it, and like, be nice to people. That's it.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. Yeah.
Again, thank you so much.
Of course, my pleasure, guys.
Our first celebrity, you set the bar high, so thank you for coming on, and thanks everybody for watching.
Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys.
All right, have a good day. Thank you. All right. So everybody left, so I'm left alone to wrap it up. So thank you to Jeff Lyman for coming on. It was awesome, and I can't say thanks enough. I'm kind of being like a fanboy right now. So I'll go ahead and end it. Thanks, everyone. Oh, sorry. Now we're going to end the broadcast.